Hey YouTube, RicoKnows here. It's about that time of the year where I start making my top 10 rankings for each position group. It's going to be on this chart. We're going to fill it in, probably do a different group every week leading up to the NFL draft. So for this week, I decided to do wide receivers. If you don't know the format, I can show you last year's format. What I did last year was these top guys up here were all my favorite players. Just 5 RicoKnows draft picks. And what I mean by that is these are guys that'll make your team better. I believe in that. I don't care where they get drafted, when they get drafted. I am not here to predict draft positions. I hate mock drafts. I just identify players. I watch film and say, that guy can play some football, period. Okay, so that's what the top section's for. When you go to the next section, you're talking about hidden gems, right? My hidden gems, guys that are going to be long shots to make it in the NFL, long shots to make rosters, things of that nature, but I'm just cheering for them. So that's what those are, hidden gems. I try to find some off-the-wall guys you haven't heard of. Most of you are football fanatics now, but I still try to find guys that most people don't know. And then at the very bottom are my actual top 10 for the NFL draft. Okay, and that's how that goes. Now, if you look at last year, very controversial, I was all in on Tank Dell. And everybody knows this. I have it in every video in the world. You know how people tell me I got popular because of Colorado? No, I got popular because of shit like this. Because of me making predictions about Tank Dell and Jaden Reed being amazing. Or mentioning that Trey Palmer should be taken up front. That's what I cared about, okay? When you start identifying the players you believe in, Tank Dell, Josh Downs, sure, Quentin Johnson was wrong. Sure, Jordan Addison might have been wrong. Zay Flowers at 5. Jaden Reed up here. CJ Johnson didn't even get drafted. Neither did Jalen Moreno-Cropper. He got a shot with the Cowboys but didn't make it. CJ Johnson ended up in camp with the Seahawks, didn't make it. I don't really care about any of that. I just identify my top 10 guys. And there will be guys that you think belong in the top 10, and I don't. Like an example would be JSN last year. I just didn't believe in him at all watching the film. So whether I'm right or wrong doesn't really matter. You don't have to get 100% of these guys right. Let me make this very clear. When you're giving assessments on the NFL draft, there isn't a scout department anywhere in the NFL that gets their draft picks 100% right. They cut half the damn draft picks right after preseason. So how good were those scouts? How good were those NFL GMs when they're drafting guys that can't make their team, right? So when you go around drafting and ranking players, you don't have to be 100% right to be considered somebody who knows what they're talking about. And if anybody ever points at a miss and goes, look, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Look at this miss here. They don't know what they're talking about because they don't understand. This is a law of averages, and this is identifying certain things. And one of my biggest traits is I try to identify players that won't be busts. I try to identify players that won't make it rain on your locker room. I try to identify people that are better than your 53. This is why when you look at my running backs, you might have knocked everything I wrote over here, but there's Keaton Mitchell, okay? And Keaton Mitchell was in my top 10. Undrafted, but I knew he's better than anybody in the NFL or vast majority of players in the NFL. And that's why you have Keaton Mitchell right here. That's the type of stuff people just kind of ignore. And they'll get mad about the fact that I liked Israel Abanikanda last year or that I didn't like Jahmyr Gibbs all that much. But I was very high on Tajay Spears. Like, I don't give a flying flip what scouts think. I don't care what your talking heads think or what your analysts think. I don't care about none of that. I do my own assessment. I watch my own film, and I make up my own ideas and my own assessments and my own conclusions. So looking at wide receivers here, I'm going to just tell you right now, my 5 guys that I really like on film, Malachi Corley, if you saw, I had my best group of 5 wide receivers. I actually have it on another chart. I wonder if I can pull that up while we're here. It would be on my locks chart. Let me go find that real quick. Locks chart. Don't want to show you my locks chart, but last year I did group of 5 wide receivers. Here it is. Check this out. Group of 5 wide receivers that I ranked last year. My number 1 group of 5 wide receiver going into the season was Malachi Corley. It's right here. Joseph Cephas was number 2. Torrey Horton, shout out to Colorado State, was 3. And you see the list as it goes. Now, some guys hit or miss. Some guys got it wrong. Like the week after I made this list, Bradley Rosner went and transferred to NC State. He was supposed to be JT Daniels' top target, and he left. So that I kind of got that wrong, right? But there were guys that I got 100% right, and Malachi Corley is one of them. I truly believe in Malachi Corley in every way possible. I've never gotten off of him. Now I see, so I've been on him for a year and a half now, 2 years. Now I see Steve Smith has co-signed Malachi Corley, so everybody's writing me going, Rico, oh my God, Steve Smith said Malachi Corley's him. You know, what do you think? Oh, you're just copying Steve Smith. Bro, I've got the receipts. I've been doing this for 2 years now. I've been talking about Malachi Corley from the jump. Shout out to Western Kentucky. My number 1 wide receiver. personally, that I think should make your team better. My next wide receiver is Jamari Thrash. This is the Georgia State transfer, went to Louisville, made them relevant. Jamari Thrash, I have said he's him. He was one of my top-ranked transfers in the transfer portal last season. I had him ranked somewhere, I think, in the top 10. Tez Walker, another guy I had in the top 15 until he was deemed ineligible for the first couple of weeks. This is moving over from Kent State, going to North Carolina, being Drake May's top target. Tez Walker, if you watch the film, he's just a good wide receiver, okay? Period. Jacob Cowing, the second best wide receiver at Arizona behind T-Mac, obviously, but I believe in Jacob Cowing. This is a transfer coming in and dominating. If you didn't know, he was a 1,000-yard receiver while at UTEP before he moved over to Arizona. So he's been dominating everywhere he goes. Jaquan Jackson, if Jaquan Jackson can stay healthy, this is a two-lane wide receiver. I believe he's a great NFL wide receiver. He's got a tremendous speed. Him and Keys were just amazing for Tulane. I really believe in Jaquan Jackson. Those are my 5 favorite wide receivers in the NFL draft. Then we have my 5 long shots. Number 1, Ty James. When I went and started doing research in the transfer portal this offseason, I don't watch FCS level football. So I went to go look up Demir Miller because I didn't know who he was. And I went to go watch film on Demir Miller. But while I was here, I decided to start looking at every single one of these wide receivers. Now, I did know Hayden Hatton from last year. He looks like who's your guy? Cooper Kupp. He's a white dude from Idaho who gets a ton of reps and another great season, over 90 receptions, 1,200 yards. I don't have to watch film of Hayden Hatton. I know who he is. He's been great from the jump. Ty James, I said, man, who's this guy? Turn on the tape. I said, say what? This is a beast right here. I love everything Ty James does. Shout out to Ty James. And another guy on the list you're going to see right now is Jalen Coker down here, Holy Cross. That's Matthew Sluka's number 1 target. I turn on the tape to watch Matthew Sluka, and he keeps it on to this guy, Jalen Coker, for a while now. So Jalen Coker, if you look, 6'3", 213, great size, pause, and over 50 receptions 3 years in a row. What a stud, bro. Just dominating. Shout out to Holy Cross. You found yourselves a guy. I'm just coming to see if he had any return. Not enough. But he's just a beast. So when you go look at the list and you start wondering who are some of these guys, I'm telling you right now, Ty James popped on tape for me. Shout out to Mercer. Javon Baker, well, he's a transfer from Alabama, went to UCF. Congratulations, really balled out. There's Jalen Coker. I just talked about him. Okay. Anthony Gould is a return man from Oregon State. He's a good returner, and I thought he played well in the Pac-12. And then the Yankee brothers. There's 2 brothers. Are they twins? They're twins. The Yankee brothers, they play for South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits. And they're just tough, man. They remind me of Joe Jaravicius a little bit. Just 2 little white dudes. They're not little. They're tall. But I really like them. I think they're long shots to make it in the NFL, but I can't help but cheer for the little guy and hope they go and do their damn thing. Now, for the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL draft that I really think are top 10 wide receivers. So, number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. There's part of me that wants to put Romer Dunes at the top, but you're just being foolish. And it really doesn't matter who goes to the top. They're arguably 1 and 2 in the whole draft. You can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. For number 3, I'm going with Keon Coleman. I love what Keon Coleman did, leaving Michigan State, finding a real quarterback, going to Florida State, being productive. And when I watch film, it looks like no one can cover Keon Coleman because of his size. And on the flip side, Malik Neighbors looks fast, but I think there's DBs out there that can run with him in the NFL. I'm not sold on Malik Neighbors for a couple of reasons. Number 1, I actually don't like his character. Real talk from me to you, I don't like his character. Carrying guns downtown, looking for some trouble. I don't like any of that. And listen to what I'm saying. I will never draft somebody who could potentially have character issues. It's just how I get down. If I'm going to invest millions upon you, this is an investment. I'm going to employ you. I wouldn't employ somebody with a criminal background. Wouldn't do it. I don't want to hear about charges being dropped. I don't care. If there was another person that doesn't have the charges versus somebody who does, I'm going to take the person without the charges. I'm going to take the person without any arrests. I'm going to take the person with a cleaner track record. It's just how I make my decisions. I run a very wholesome program over here. I value a lot of things. I'm not just looking for somebody who's fast. So shout out to Malik Neighbors. I got him at 4. That's not a knock on him. He's still a great wide receiver. Oh, we're going to know what you're talking about. He belongs at 3. It's a 1 rank difference. Calm the fuck down. Excuse my language. The next receiver I have on the list is Brian Thomas Jr. You obviously know the deal. Red zone threat. Huge, I guess, one-on-one mismatch. if you will. Brian Thomas Jr. is him. He was opposite of Malik Neighbors at LSU. Ladd McConkey, being a Georgia wide receiver, I'm tired of Ladd McConkey being labeled fast for a white guy. No, he's just fast. He's just great. He's legitimately a beast of a wide receiver. I like Ladd McConkey. And don't tell me, well, what about Adonai Mitchell? Well, he was nobody when he played on the same team as Ladd McConkey. Really, he was. Oh, no, he was our leading receiver. He was one of our best receivers. He just got injured. He just went. I don't want to hear it. Ladd's dependable. He's good. I like that kid. Malachi Corley. I already told you. I already talked about him before. Dominating at Western Kentucky. It's just 100 receptions is 100 receptions. I love the kid. Troy Franklin, in a room full of alpha dogs, alpha males, Troy Franklin is him. Troy Franklin showed up every single week in the Pac-12 and outperformed and outproduced everybody. That's a real NFL wide receiver. I love Troy Franklin. Xavier Worthy is the fastest guy around. Can't catch a cold. That dude couldn't catch COVID, and we all got COVID. This dude's terrible. I don't like Xavier Worthy because he drops passes, but he's incredibly fast. It'd be foolish not to put him in my top 10, so I'm doing it. And then Xavier Leggett just proved to be dependable all season this year. Shout out to South Carolina. Finding Rattler, or Rattler finding him, and finding that combination really worked out, especially with Juice Wells going down. Xavier Leggett picked up the slack, and he now looks like an NFL caliber wide receiver. So those are my top wide receivers for the NFL draft. Don't get it twisted. I know there are a ton of wide receivers I missed, but I only have room for 10. I intentionally try to find 5 underdogs or hidden gems nobody knows about, and then I have my 5 favorite. My top 5 up here, these 5 favorite of mine, nothing you say can make me change my mind. It's my favorite. You can make up your favorite, bro. Don't tell me I'm wrong or I don't know what I'm talking about or I missed on someone. You do you. I know all the wide receivers in the NFL draft. I studied before I made this list here. I told you guys I was going to make this list 2 weeks ago. I studied 126 different wide receivers. Don't make me pull up the list. I got lists for days. 126 different wide receivers before I made this chart. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Stay up, y'all. Shout out to my haters.